he punted it. After that, the Chiefs, when they got possession of the ball on offense, they never punted again. They scored 3 touchdowns on their next offensive possessions.
Yep.
They kicked field goals or the time expired, either at the half or at the end of the game. They never punted again.
Would have scored more points, but they ran out of time.
I mean, that's
true.
The thing.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's the thing that's crazy to me is we look at Buffalo and you look at how Buffalo's defense on the back half of the season really improved and got back to the stature they were the last 2 years under Sean McDermott. Like they had evolved back into being one of the top tier defense, and the Chiefs just shredded them.
And that's Leslie Frazier, their DC, right?
Yeah, and again, it's kind of like LaFleur. Obviously, LaFleur messed up at the end of the year. Frazier did a good job this year. It's just you ran into a hurricane.
Oh my!
I mean, the combination of Tyreek Hill and Kelsey are the perfect combo because of Hill's speed. It opens up all that intermediate area where Kelsey will find all these holes,
right?
Even in zone, and then vice versa. If people focus on Kelsey in that intermediate area, you have Tyreek Hill doing like those crossers in short area, or he's going deep. So if you try to clamp down on Kelsey, it opens up the 2 main areas where Tyreek operates.
I thought that they should put Roadrunner sound effects to that one play where Tyreek was. I mean, he ran about 70 yards to get 30, but man, he was hauling.
Meep beep meep beep.
Yeah.
I was completely, I guess, blown away. I think that Hill and Kelsey are 1 in a generation players or 2 in a generation players that I didn't realize they were that good, especially that play you just talked about, Lugs, where Hill ran, the length of the field and the width of the field and left everybody in his dust. Amazing.
And the thing is, too, is like, and obviously he's not to the speed of Tyreek Hill. McCole Hartman, who early in the game looked like maybe he could be a GOAT by dropping that punt, he had a 50-yard end-around run.
Yep.
And then, he had the touchdown on bubble. They have speed in McCole Hartman. And Pringle, who usually on their depth chart, I believe is the 4th, 5th, he can burn too. And obviously, maybe for the Super Bowl, they'll get back Sammy Watkins for that game, who's also a burner.
And then they've got a run game.
So much speed.
Now, it's fun to watch. Mahomes sits back there, and there's like 1 option, 2 option, 3 option, 4 option, 5 option, 6 option, and then he'll either dink it to somebody or he'll run. So, the only way that I think that the Bucs have a shot in the Super Bowl is if you keep Mahomes off the field. They got to have 10 and 12-minute drives.
Well, before we get to that one, I just want to say I do think the one problem that McDermott had was, and I don't know how you go into after this is like year 3 of Mahomes, that they were willing to settle for that many field goals. This is like, this is not going to work against this team. I mean, you're kicking field goals. It's like you're not going to clamp this offense down. Like, you have Josh Allen. You have to roll the dice. The way you coach a game against an offense of that caliber, you just have to be look, you might lose by 20, 24 points, but you have to be willing to take the risk willing to lose embarrassingly to actually have a chance to win.
Well, and I think we got to give a little credit to KC's defense. I mean, the only guys that Josh Allen had the ball to hand off to were linebackers from the Chiefs in the backfield with them the whole game. I mean, it's like crazy. I think they're good. I think they're better than we thought, and I think they proved it.
Well, the best thing, to your point, J-Boy, the best thing is you look at how great Stephon Diggs was this year. And I know he finished with 77 yards receiving. Most of that yardage was in garbage time.
Yeah.
When it was competitive, it was like 12 yards.
They were playing zone defense and stuff.
They nullified him completely.
Right.
I mean, and yeah, Frank Clark had a big game. And I know he didn't really get on the stat sheet, but consistently these last 2 games, when they need like someone to step up, Chris Jones has stepped up and applied pressure in key moments, either to Baker Mayfield, where like they were able to stop them on a drive that could have won the game, or putting pressure on Josh Allen where he essentially throws it out of bounds or whatnot.
Well, I thought Romo did a good job where he says, look at sticky defense, sticky defense. I mean, he shows those plots where each receiver is covered. And so Josh Allen holds the ball for how long in some of those? And he ran for his life. I know he can run, but when you're holding the ball for 5, 6, 8, 10 seconds, it's not going to work.
And what I really liked about it, a hockey game broke out there at the end where guys were just tagging off on. It was like watching all these big dinosaurs just slug it out. You know, it was kind of like King Kong versus Godzilla.
And didn't you like the call? All the penalties are offset, and there are no penalties. What? What?
Chris Jones laid out, what's his name? Mariano, Giuliano, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He just hit him one time and knocked him right off his feet.
Well, yeah.
And no penalty.
And it was started by Allen tossing the ball at what's his name's grill, Okafor's grill.
Yeah, Okafor, yeah.
So it was.
That big offensive lineman, well, I guess it was it Mariano?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he put that old boy on the ground, man. It was like, oh, yeah, don't touch my man. Don't touch the quarterback, dude.
Don't touch the money. Don't touch the money.
Yeah, they've got to get themselves a couple of running backs.
And you need somebody other than Stephon Diggs, too. But you got to give it. Let's give it up for Buffalo for being there after all these years. And, since the Jim Kelly era, practically, it's fun to watch. I'm glad they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing I was going to say too is like even though they have so much talent, the Chiefs, I just also want to give credit too. Like you look at the how well schemed all their touchdowns were. It was a bubble screen to Hartman where very quick before the ball was snapped, Kelsey went in motion and essentially he came in as a block to make it a bubble screen. It didn't really look like a bubble screen at first. Then it was the underhand throw.
Yeah, I love that
to Kelsey, which they've done a few times.
They call it the stampede.
And then Kelsey's other touchdown was a delayed where he looked like he was blocking, and they allowed the defense to penetrate. And then Kelsey then went into a crossing route, a delayed crossing route, and he just lofted it over the defense, and he was wide open. He just walked in the end zone. So that's just also Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy just skimming it up.
And I think that short rollout play-action play to Hill that Chad Henne threw in the last game, and they did in this game too. You can't defend that play. That rollout to the right, short yardage, first down pickup. It's you can't defend it.
Yeah,
it's automatic.
Then you look at a lot of plays too where they either run like a jet sweep. With Hill, and then they had a lot of plays where they just use it as window dressing, where he's like running behind. He's running like weird circles, like he's doing like figure eights behind Patrick Mahomes before he snaps. It's like, what the hell? How are we going to stop this guy? He's going to be running clean.
And don't you love how they clocked him at 21 miles per hour?
Wow. Oh, yeah. And before I forget, Eric Bieniemy, I don't think there's a conspiracy not to hire that man. I think that man realizes he's got a generational team where he can do pretty much offensively anything he can dream up. And after the Mahomes era, he can go be a head coach somewhere. But I think the man should stay there, use that talent, and enjoy some championships. Wear some rings, my friend.
Get you some hardware.
Well, at the very least, if you want to transition into some of the new coaching hires.
Yes, go.
I just want to say, with the only opening left, he should stay in KC. Just wait for next year. Like, you do not want that Houston, Texas job.
That's going to the graveyard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody wants that job. I tell you what will be sad. I'd heard that Deshaun Watson wants to go to the Jets, and they would trade Darnold to the Texans. If at that point, if I'm Darnold, I go ahead and say, just give me my bonus money. I'm done. I don't want to take this beating.
I'm going to retire now and just get my union pension. What do we say?
Right. Why should he take that?
Actually, the funniest thing, and I don't think this will happen, one of the guys that they supposedly interviewed is Josh McCown. The first year that Darnold was in the league, that was his backup. his backup was Josh McCown.
And now he might be his coach.
He's only been in the league 3 years. His 4th year, he's going, and Josh McCown's like, hey, he's like, do you have any coaching experience at this level? It's like, not at all.
And wasn't it just like 2 years ago they called up Josh from a high school where he was like the offensive coordinator in Texas on a high school team to back up somebody who went anyway?
Yeah, yes, it was. I believe you're correct. He was the backup quarterback to Carson Wentz, who got injured, and then he came into the playoff game against the Seahawks.
He was at home drinking a nice tea, and he just got home from practice at Oswego High School or wherever.
Yeah, wow. It's
strange.
And again, the craziest thing with the Texans is I doubt they'll get anyone of it. Period. I don't think they'll get anyone who's considered like an up and coming name, really, because of the Deshaun Watson thing, and until it gets resolved, which it feels like from when you read reports, he's done. Like he's done. Like it's not like he's mad about like not having the coach he wants. They can get a coach who they think he wants. It's the owners of the team. It's the chaplain who has a lot of control. Like he wants out of there.
And JJ Watt's probably gone too, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it's not just Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he's the focal point, but JJ. I mean, you listen to like press conference JJ Watt, like he is essentially like, I am piecing out on this place. And then you have Andre Johnson, who's been retired. He's talking trash about Houston. It's not good. It's very bad.
So wait, we have a chance. We're missing this, man. One of us could be the head coach of the Houston Texans.
Okay, who should be the head coach?
Well, Luggs, he's got the delivery for the press conference. I mean,
that's right. Yeah,
you can deliver the sound bites better than the rest of us. I mean, you got it.
That's
man.
true.
Yeah, come on.
But Houston, I mean, my goodness, to think about what maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, they were legit. They were legit, and then they get Bill O'Brien, and then they trade DeAndre Hopkins. It's like, seriously. How to destroy a team in one easy move. That's the way I look at that.
It's a new book on Amazon.
Luggs is not even that far back. They were in the divisional round last year,
right?
And they lost to the eventual champions. Yeah, no, the eventual champions, the KC. They lost to KC.
Oh, that's right.
So I mean, it's not something to like put your head down. Like they were a fairly solid team last year, and they just imploded in one season. It was actually impressive in some ways to think about what has transpired in Houston.
Okay, so what other coaching moves did you like, or you think they're just ridiculous?
The Eagles one's fascinating because they fired Peterson, who is an Andy Reid guy, and I know we've talked about how it seems like Frank Wright was the main guy who really made Carson Wentz that MVP level guy in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny they hired as a head coach Nick Siciliano or Siciliani or however he says his name. I'm so blanking.
Siciliano.
Yeah, that's
spaghetti,
but anyway,
mastacholi.
He was offensive coordinator for the Colts. So essentially, since they can't get Frank Wright, they want the guy who worked directly under Frank Wright.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know. It's very, I don't know. It's very puzzling to me. I'm not saying he won't work out. It's just on paper. You're like, it's like if someone's like, I want to date this person, but I can't get them, so I'll date their friend. It's like what is going on here?
Hey, do you have a sister?
Yeah, well, plan B or plan C, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Very bizarre.
Yeah.
And I think he was hired the last time we talked. I just want to say the Dan Campbell. We didn't talk about his press conference.
I didn't see it. So I have to fill me in on that.
What was that all about?
You didn't see the press conference?
This
guy. I want this guy to succeed just because the amount of sound bites this guy is going to supply on a regular basis. He started off. The one thing I liked was he was very blunt about it. He's like, this team has been through a lot of shit. He goes, part of my language, but like he said it like very angrily, and then he went on to say he's like, this team will take on the way of Detroit. It's like it's going to be a tough team. He's like, when we get knocked down, we're going to come back up and we're going to bite you in the kneecaps and rip them off.